Hello everyone, I am Renowned Zero, and we are back again with one of our favorite detractors, Airrick Debunks, or Airrick's Reloaded, whoever you want to call him. And he is going through and commenting on Eric July's post about the Pride post that DC put out on their Twitter account, saying this is for the kids who need it, and all that, and we're going to essentially debunk his debunk because he likes to claim that he debunks things similar to this weird video of 16 minutes of debunks, of savage debunks, even though he's not very intelligent and the people he hangs around are not very intelligent. So I'll start here by saying Airrick back with a pride-fueled attack on Eric July, where he says, quote, as a gay kid, pretty sure you weren't gay, you were probably groomed just like all the other children that are like this today. Reading comics, hypersexualized women were thrown in my face, and that'd make me straight. Weird thing for you to say, is what I meant. So what Eric July is doing won't make gay kids straight. It's all fake, scam. I don't think Eric July is not trying to do anything, and it's not a scam because he's not stealing or being fraudulent, I should say, towards anything. He's just commenting on a post that DC made, talking about them pushing sexuality on children, on a children product, on comic books, things that children read. And adults read too, because comics are booming, right? They're not. Let's get into it though.
He says there is a bizarre hyperfixation now in entertainment on sexuality with regards to children. DC makes a post on their official Twitter with a quote calling out bigots and aimed at the kids who need it. Check out the full video in live.
That's literally all Eric is doing in the video.
No, we're not going to check out the full video.
Of course you're not going to check out the full video because you're not going to give the context and listen to anything he has to say because you're trying to debunk something that was never said, right? That's what you're going to try to do.
Here's the post in question. I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to give you my perspective on this. So DC posted this, and Apollo and Midnighter, or Midnighter and Apollo, however you want to say it, they're going to be part of the Authority movie that's coming out in the DCU. So DC has a reason to continue supporting these characters outside of it just being Pride Month. We're going to see.
And yet the only time you're going to hear about these characters is during Pride Month, right? You never heard anything about these characters beforehand or anything like that, right? From DC.
A lot of these characters from the Authority over the next couple of years, I'm going to assume. But for some reason, this is an issue.
It is an issue because they're trying to push sexual identity onto children by claiming that this is for kids that need it. Meanwhile, there's no such thing as gay kids or trans kids.
For some reason, this is a problem for them. And that is a virtue.
Because it is going after children. It's essentially targeting towards children because they're putting it in the post that it's for kids who need it.
Signal. It's a virtue.
It's not a virtue signal when it's plain as day right there in the post.
Signal. Because they are telling you that this is an issue, but all the other sexualization in comic books is not, because they'll never.
Because the straight sexualization that you're going to complain about is normal. Men being with women is a normal sexuality. That's why. The rest of it's not normal, not the norm. It's not to say that it's not okay. You know, men could love men, women could love women. You're free to do that if that's how you feel. But it's not the norm, is essentially what he's saying.
Or talk about that. Matter of fact, a lot of the people in the space, in the bigotry space, in the phobia space.
In the bigotry space. My dude, you're a bigot. In the phobia space, no one's scared of you. No one's scared of gay people. No one's scared of trans people. No one's scared of fat people because they like to say fat phobia too. You're an idiot. You are literally an NPC. You have the same exact talking points as every other bot and NPC on Twitter. Shut up.
Want comics to go back to the 90s.
Yeah, when it was fun. When comics were fun. Comics were about action. Comics were about drama situations. Comics were about bad guys versus good guys. It's not a hard concept. Oh, no, wait. It is a hard concept for retards like this.
They argue for the hypersexualization of women.
Because it sells. Newsflash. Hot. Newsflash. Women like to see hot women too. It's not just guys who like to see hot women. Comics tend to sell when you put good-looking characters in the comic book. Comics are a visual medium. I don't understand why it's such a hard concept for these people to understand.
In comic books, that's what they want. Possibly go.
No shit, Sherlock.
Look, I was a gay kid. I was a gay
You were not a gay kid.
teenager. And that destroys their entire narrative, which is why they don't ever want to.
It doesn't destroy a narrative because you weren't those things. You weren't old enough to comprehend if you were gay or not. Your mind wasn't completely finished growing to understand what that was.
Listen to people who were gay tell them about their experience, especially people my age, because I didn't have all of this content around me. Matter of fact, I was dealing.
So, also, are you gay or are you queer? Because now you're just flip-flopping. Somehow you were a gay kid, which you weren't. Somehow you were a gay teenager, which you weren't. And now you're queer? How does that work?
With coded characters back in the 80s and 90s, and being in my face was thrown like hypersexualized women.
So? Because that's normal. Hot women exist, bud. And when it came to gay characters back in the day that they created, they didn't throw their sexuality in your face. You kind of just knew they were gay, but it was in the background, not the forefront, like it is now.
So if throwing hypersexualized women in my face as a gay kid didn't make
Again, you're not a gay kid. You were not a gay kid.
me straight, then stuff like this isn't going to do anything to straight kids.
It's not the point. The point is they're throwing it in people's faces as children to confuse them, to influence them.
So it's all a scam. It's all fake. It's all a virtue
It's not a scam because it's not disingenuous.
signal.
It's not a virtue signal, it's just the truth. Nobody cares about the sexuality of characters if you're throwing it at the forefront and you're just bashing them over the head with it. It's okay for it to be in there. People are just not okay with you bashing them over the head with it.
Because it's not real. It's an illusion they're creating, which is
Just like you as a gay kid is an illusion you're creating.
it brings me to my next point, which is astroturfing. They've been spending a lot of time, maybe the last 2 or 3 months, maybe even longer than that, sort of building up to Pride Month, in a sense, establishing that there are all these things going on that you need to be aware of, because
Because they show that it's happening.
something is being kept from you. Something is hiding. There's something going on. You just have.
You mean like the teachers that are trying to groom children? That's why corporations like Disney were against bills that were protecting young children from being groomed? And people like you probably weren't okay with that because you're a groomer yourself?
Have to be in the know. You have to know about it.
Yeah, no shit. We'll go into the next clip and then we'll take a look at that video. Eric July creates problems, then sells you the solution. He does that on the backs of marginalized communities. I mean, isn't Eric July in a marginalized community according to you? I mean, he's a black man, right? Wouldn't, according to you, he be a part of a marginalized community? Oh yeah, that's right. He doesn't fit that fake leftist narrative, that fake weirdo narrative that you have, so he doesn't count. That's right. His business model is to step on people who are already being stepped on. Okay, bud.
And this is something that creators like Eric July have been doing with all of their anti-gay, anti-trans content, building up.
Yeah, definitely he didn't make socio-political content that had nothing to do with gay or trans rights, which I don't know what rights y'all don't have, really. He didn't make comic book content, reviewing comic books, reviewing video games. He never did any of that stuff. But because you're noticing him now, because he's making his own comic universe, all of a sudden this is the only type of content he makes. You're a fucking idiot.
Up to Pride Month. And so it's no surprise to me that they're going to continue to, during Pride Month, pick on everything that is queer.
Because it is being pushed on children, and it shouldn't be getting pushed on children. It's not a hard concept, my guy. But I had to keep remembering that it is a hard concept for idiots like you and idiots in your little fandom initiative, your little fake posse or whatever the hell you got going on over there.
Because it's bigoted. It's homophobic.
It's not bigoted. No one's scared of gays.
It's transphobic.
No one's scared of trans people.
This is...
Stop making up bullshit words for your shitty ass life. You're so concerned about what other people are doing, right? I'm just here calling out the nonsense. I'm sure someone's gonna say I'm so concerned with what this guy's doing, but this guy's legitimately lying about a creator because of his thought process isn't the same as your thought process, essentially.
This is who they are.
Now remember, this is a guy who says trans kids exist. Trans kids do not exist, and this is why UAE has banned the Spider-Verse film, because they're based and they understand that having a trans flag in a kids movie is fucking weird.
I always say believe people when they tell you who they are. And someone who has a pattern, a dynamic where this is the kind of content they make, but they never say anything positive about it, chances are...
They used to say a lot of positive things about the comic industry, and they realized someone like Eric July, who's been covering the comic industry as long as he has, because he's been on this platform since he was 16 years old, he understands that the comic industry is going to hell. It's going to absolute shit.
That's how they feel about it. So whether someone is actually a bigot or they're just spreading bigoted content, it doesn't
buzzword
really matter at the end of the day. The end result is going to be the same. So for me, I feel like,
I mean, Eric July is making his own universe, his own comics, right? Straying away from comics, what it is right now, and y'all are still mad at him for doing that. So no matter what he does, even if he strays completely away from mainstream comics and doesn't really talk about them that much, because he doesn't talk about it as much as he used to, y'all are still mad. Because he's making all this money, and you bitches are over there in your little corner complaining about it still. Especially Dane from Actual Family. He's still complaining about Eric July making money on a comic book that is not political at all. It's not a anti-woke comic. It's just a fun comic.
This is what they're going to put out. The astroturfing, all of that. No anymore. The Rippaverse can't relate to this. No one wants to read bad comics. Check out the full... We're not checking out the full video. I've already watched it.
Because once again, you're not going to give context to anything. You're just going to make a bunch of claims up and not show any context.
We're not going to watch it here. So he's telling you, hey, this is the problem, and I'm selling you the solution.
Yes. These are terrible comics that push political bullshit. Here's a fun comic not doing that exact thing. We're doing the opposite. Again, these are not hard concepts, but these people have room temperature IQ, so they don't understand how simple this is.
Right? That is what he is doing. It's what he's been doing a lot of. There's plenty of examples of it on his Twitter. I don't think it's any big secret that this is how he's been running through with the Rippaverse. Even his video where he talked about the upcoming pre-sale campaign, whatever you want to call it, he talked about detractors and haters and this, that, and the other.
Yes, because he has plenty of them, and you are one of them. Like I already said, y'all are complaining that he's not really talking about mainstream comics as much, and for the most part ignoring that shit and not reviewing it, and doing his own thing, making his own comic, making his own money and his own product, and y'all are still over there in the corner complaining about it. So that's why he don't give a shit what people like you have to say, because at the end of the day, y'all are hypocrites.
It's problem-centric selling. It's not a new thing, but it's creating a problem so they can sell you a solution.
No, it's saying this stuff is trash and they're doing this one way. This stuff is better. We're doing it another way. We're selling you a product that's fun and doesn't preach to you and doesn't disrespect you and we're not a company that disrespects the customer or the fan of the product unlike what they're doing over here. So come over here if you want to support a apolitical product that doesn't preach to you, and support a company that doesn't preach down to you, doesn't disrespect you as a customer or fan. Again, not a hard concept.
And again, that's not necessarily inherently a bad thing. But when you're doing that,
and yet here you are complaining about it
on the backs of marginalized communities, when you're doing...
No, he's doing it on the backs of shitty corporations who are selling you shit products and then telling you you're a piece of garbage.
That, and you're dogpiling on groups that are already being oppressed, already being harassed, already being attacked.
Where? He's dogpiling on shitty people. Doesn't matter what community they're in. He's talking about shitty people. Especially people who are trying to groom children. Like DC is with this post. Talking about this nonsense.
When your business model is, hey, we're going to step on people that are already being stepped on. Say that...
No, his business model is, here's a better alternative to what you've normally been fed, and we're not going to tell you you're a piece of shit if you have a certain political opinion. It's all in the code of ethics, dude. It's literally in the code of ethics right here. Although we are attempting to take comics back to the essence of what you know and love, we do believe that there are areas that should be updated for the better. We'd like to maintain a level of respectable transparency so that you know what you're about. Read our guiding principles known as the Rippaverse Code of Ethics. Okay, let's go into the Code of Ethics. This comic book company was not created at random. Our founder had been rooted in the culture of American comic books since he was a youngster, and being a creative in the industry was always a dream of his. But the unfortunate state of the industry gave him the push that he needed to give it a shot. We've seen what works, and we're certainly seeing what not to do. Rippaverse Comics is a product of a comic book guy that still believes the magic of the culture. With that being said, we are guided by a set of principles that remain a staple of this company. Respect the customer. We want you invested in this brand and everything that comes from it. Rippaverse Comics is not entitled to your money, and we must earn your support. It's on us as the creators to produce something that you find of value and can remain invested in. It's impossible to please everybody, but we hope there's a book or character that you will look forward to keeping up with. The success of this company will be largely dictated by our ability to keep our customers interested and satisfied. We are not oblivious to this. Respect goes both ways, and we will honor our side of the deal. Canon and continuity. Our aspirations extend far beyond having a couple of characters a series. A vast universe that is ever expanding is what we hope to accomplish. This is something that has been long been intriguing and about modern American comic books, but it has become a lost art. The Rippaverse will fill this void. This means that every single book you buy will always matter. If retcons are to exist, they will only be used in the classic sense of introducing new information. We want every book that you buy to always matter. Those stories happened. There will be no lazy time travel to change histories or events. There will be no cheap multiverses that have altered versions of the same character. If you own a book, you own a part of the history, and it's our mission to keep it this way. This concept will remain true regardless of the medium. Should the characters appear in officialized animation or live action, the depictions need to be as accurate to the characters as realistically possible. Your favorite characters will always be recognizable. A comprehensive timeline. Because we value canon and continuity, it's important that you're able to follow the timeline as these characters grow. This will especially be helpful for those of you that become customers years after our founding. With that being said, we promise to try to keep reboots to a minimum. If this means that a series is on its 100th issue of volume, so be it. But this isn't a reason to feel overwhelmed. Not only will there be plenty of opportunities to purchase anthologies that combine key stories, there will also be an available official chronological timeline that is constantly updated by our company. Not every story will be told in chronological order, so we'll always make it as easy as possible to keep up as the universe grows. So essentially all the things that mainstream comics don't do. I can't jump into a Batman series. I can't figure out what's going on with Batman or Spider-Man and jump right in randomly. I have to do a whole bunch of different things, jumping through hoops in order to figure out what the fuck is going on. Whereas this, I can buy book number 1, book number 2, book number 3, and know exactly what's going on.
They are the problem, and then I'm going to sell you a solution to that problem, which is non-visibility. We're not going to give any time or attention to any of these marginalized communities. Then they are creating a problem and selling you a solution. And you just need to be aware of that. You need to be aware that that is what is happening. Because this is not a problem. There's no problem in offering content for queer people and queer teenagers.
No such thing as queer teenagers. Alright. So now we're going to jump into this. It's going to be a long one. So, hope you're strapped in. Let's get into it.
We've all heard it. We hear it over and over and over again. Get woke, go broke. Diversity doesn't sell.
Yeah, get woke or broke. Look what happened to Bud Light, Target, Disney, losing billions of dollars.
DC Pride 2023 issue number 1 sells out. And
yes, it sells out, yet he does not show you the actual article. He just shows you the headline. Let's go to the actual article where he pulled this from, right? DC Pride 2023, number 1. The first in a number of Pride Month anthologies to be released celebrate the company's alphabet characters, creators, and fans this year has been in stores a little over a week, but it's already sold out on the distributor level. Not the comic level, distributor level, not the retail store level, distributor level. Meaning the distributor has sold out from the comic shops buying them. Not the comic stores actually selling them, the distributor selling out of the prints. So you want to talk about debunking? How about show this article and show what this actually says? Show what this actually says, because it says nothing about stores selling out of them. This says distributor level. Sold out on the distributor level.
And gets a rush reprint.
Gets a rush reprint so more stores can buy them. Not customers, stores. Unlike this, the Rippaverse sells directly to customers.
Cisgender or cis is not a slur.
Yes, it is. It's a second descriptor of what a woman is or a man is. It's literally what the person identifies as at birth, which is just a man or a woman. So yes, it's a slur.
Now here comes the fun part. The part where a bunch of people go in the comments and tell me I'm wrong regardless of the information that I provide.
Because you are wrong. You're 100% wrong.
In this video. Let's start with the basics. If this is a slur, then so is this.
Trans is not a slur. Trans is the descriptor of a person who transitioned. Something they were not born as. A trans woman is a biological male. They were not born a woman. They were not born female. They were born a male. They were born a man. It is not the same.
But this is not a slur.
Trans is not a slur.
Therefore, this
cis is a slur.
Is not.
It's a made-up bullshit word that people like you have made up to be as a second descriptor. People don't like to be called this because they are not this. They are either a man or a woman. The reason we use trans is because you can identify someone who is transitioning.
Not a slur. Pretty simple.
That's the difference.
Right?
Yeah, because simple concepts come easy to you, to a brainlet like you. Other things that are actual simple concepts do not come easy to you.
The next thing is, well, if you respected us, you wouldn't call us cis, because you wouldn't want us to do the same thing to you.
Yeah, no shit.
This is a fallacy argument, because you've already been doing that. You've been misgendering and saying slurs to people in the...
You can't misgender someone because no matter how much you like to claim you're transitioned, you are still the biological gender you were born as. Your DNA does not lie. That's the difference.
Queer community already for years and years and years. So you don't get to reverse that and all of a sudden act...
Because that's how dumb you actually sound. You actually believe the dumb shit coming out of your mouth.
like you care about those things. Here's more proof. Pause. If you...
Ooh, because Google says so. Because some fake website that you don't show actually says so, right? Simply, it's a word that helps people to identify and understand different gender identities. Again, it's a slur because no one is a cis male or a cis female. They're just male or female. You're adding descriptors that don't make any sense to add. Again, not a hard concept, but for brainlet, room temperature IQ people like this guy, it obviously is.
You need to. And lastly, if trans exist, then what is the opposite of trans?
Just male or female. Wow. Just male or female.
I'll give you a moment.
Yes, it is male or female, once again. For the stupid people like you.
I know you guys can't see the rest of this comment, but at the very end of this, they're like, if you don't...
Being a Karen about nothing, there's no hate speech. You're just blowing out way out of proportion. Yes, hate speech is just speech you don't like. But hate speech is protected by freedom of speech in this country.
Like something, don't watch. While this person came on my video to explain free speech to me.
Because obviously you don't know what it is, because you call something hate speech. Obviously you don't understand what freedom of speech is. So a person who is clearly more intelligent than you had to tell you what it was.
As if what I am doing is not expressing free speech. And then they also have the option to not watch.
Just like you have the option to not watch Airrick July's videos. Or watch any of his Twitter posts. You have the option to do these things. Mighty hypocritical of you.
This is why progress can't be made. Because we are dealing with idiots.
You are one of them. You are one of the biggest idiots I've ever experienced on the internet. You should be the last person calling anyone an idiot coming from the guy saying that trans kids exist when they don't.
Got a couple of comments I highlighted here. There's two of these. We'll address these here back to back. Representation is not as important as the quality of the story.
It's not. That's 100% true. It's not. Especially when it's pushed to the forefront and makes the quality of the story terrible. Because all you're focusing on is the representation rather than having that at the background instead of the forefront. Whoops.
This is why progress can't be made. Because we are dealing... Here. There's two of these. We'll address these here back to back. Representation is not as important as the quality of the story, which was one of his statements. And I care about diversity if it's a good story. Actually get more offended when they use it as tokenism, just checking the diversity box. So I want to address
essentially something that Airrick July always talks about, the tokenism.
Both of these things. And this is no offense. I'm not attacking anybody here.
Even though you attack people constantly when they call Miles Morales. Because all he is a tokenized version of Peter Parker, who is Spider-Man.
But I always hear this when it comes to representation. There seems to be this goalpost for quality that only applies to representation.
Because again, representation nowadays is pushed to the forefront and it devalues the quality of the story. It's representation first, then quality of the story. And then it's the characters just, I'm gay, rather than just letting the story happen and you kind of interpret it that way, or you kind of figure it out, we'll say.
Right? So, like, if a story that doesn't have diversity isn't good, it's never attacked for that reason.
Oh, it is. It definitely is.
Like, they never say, oh, that straight guy in that show, awful.
Because... unlike you, normal people don't look at the sexuality of a character and use it as a descriptor when saying something is terrible.
Awful because they didn't tell a good story, right? They never attack him for that reason. But the minute you
Normal people don't have to bring in the sexuality of a character to tell you something's terrible. We just say it's terrible and give you the reasons why without bringing up a character's sexuality. Because we are not hyper focused on that, unlike you fucking weirdos.
You say that diversity is something that you want to see. They're like, oh, but it has to be a good story.
Well, yeah, it has to be a good story. It could be a diverse set of characters. Look at 1980's Empire Strikes Back. It had a black man in it. It had Lando Calrissian. But no one was hyper-focused on his skin color because Lando Calrissian was a great character played by the great Billy D. Williams. No one was hyper-focused on the fact that he was a black man. They focused on his great acting, the great story writing of the writers of the movie, and the great directing of the movie. Unlike today, where it's people are so hyper focused on the race of the person in the movie.
So why is that the metric for diverse content? We have to let diversity be.
Again, you people act like diversity in movies hasn't been around forever. We can go as far back as 1939 with Gone with the Wind. There's been diversity in movies for a long time.
Told.
Yet people in Hollywood and people like you act like it's never existed.
Whether it's good or bad, and then decide if you like it or you don't like it. Don't hold it to a standard that is unfair. There's a lot of movies and TV shows that come out that are not diverse, that are just universally disliked for the most part.
And yet the race of those movies or TV shows are not brought up because most people, again, are not hyper fixated on the race of characters when seeing a bad story.
So I think we need to get that out of our head, first of all, when it comes to diversity, because representation, there is absolutely nothing with trying representation and it not working. It doesn't work.
We have constantly. Gotham Knights just recently got canceled after one season. They tried diversity, the story was trash, and it got canceled.
Sometimes it doesn't, right? I'll be the first one to say if something feels weird to me. But I think that we need to not hold representation to a higher standard than just a regular piece of media.
Well, the fact that nowadays Hollywood pushes the fact that something is diverse rather than just letting the show or movie speak for itself should tell you everything.
Because I think that's an unfair expectation for marginalized communities. And we do that a lot. And again, this is not me singling out you guys saying that this is what you're saying. I'm saying as a community, we need to just get away from that. Because tokenism, by definition, is representation that is superficial, meaning
AKA Peter Darker, AKA Miles Morales. That's exactly what Miles Morales is. You understand the concept of tokenism, yet you'd see no problem with Miles Morales.
You have a character that is just there to tick off a box, that isn't a main character, that can be killed off very easily, that doesn't have any important storylines or anything like that. That is tokenism.
That's literally what Miles Morales is. He is a tokenized version, a race swap version of Peter Parker, who is Spider-Man, with the same origin story, the same villains, and he acts the same way. It's exactly what Miles Morales is.
If you have a main character that is diverse and has representation and is a character that has a full-fledged story, that is not a token. And that is the difference in that. And it when I see that, I always have to address it. Because I think the word token, people don't realize that it doesn't mean just someone being diverse in a role.
And it's funny that people in your space and your little initiative like to call Eric July a token black guy for the Blaze.
It's a very specific thing. It is somebody there just to tick off a box. So if you...
That's literally what you guys have said about Eric July. You've said that Eric July is just a token black guy to fill a diversity quota at the Blaze.
See a character that has speaking lines, that has a story, that is part of the recurring cast, they are not tokens. I'm sorry, that's not what it is.
Black Captain America is a token. Miles Morales is a token. Female Loki is a token.
So yeah, we need to be more vigilant about actually...
She-Hulk is a token. But people actually like She-Hulk because she's written well in the comic books. Unlike someone like Miles Morales, who is Miles Morales.
Holding everything to one standard.
So something I've noticed when watching a lot of these anti-fan hate channels.
Oh, here we go. You don't have to watch them, guys, but I'm going to watch them so I can make commentary on them.
A lot of the content they make, they're like, oh, we're trying to protect like families and kids and things like that. But then they make this content, this obviously adult-oriented like hate content.
But what are you doing? The exact type of content that they're doing, except you're the actual hateful one. You're hateful towards the content that they're making that you don't like, that you say you don't have to watch, but you're watching it anyway.
And then market it on YouTube for all ages. So they're like, oh, this flag in this movie seems to be like it's some sort of agenda or message, right?
Well, yeah, according to the UAE, it is. That's why the movie's banned from there.
That's their claim. So instead of trying to keep that...
Yes, the flag says protect trans kids, a thing that doesn't exist. And then weirdos on Twitter like to claim that Gwen Stacy is somehow a trans character and her story is a trans allegory, when she's not.
Out of the eyes of the kids that they say are being, captivated by this, they put it on YouTube 20, 30 times over and over and over again and advertise it for all ages. Meaning that if a kid gets online to search the trailer, they're going to see probably one or more of these videos in their search. And then they're going to click on it and see some of the worst comments imaginable. And probably some really bad language.
Not necessarily. Again, you don't watch a lot of the content that you're criticizing anyway, so no. You wouldn't really know that.
Stop pretending it's about protecting people.
They're not pretending, unlike you. You pretend that trans kids exist. I'm going to continuously remind my audience and the people that see this video that this is the delusion that this person has.
Cisgender and straight are not the same thing. Straight means...
They're pretty similar. Well, not really. Straight is your sexuality, cis is your gender identity, I guess, if I'm not mistaken.
Heterosexual. Cisgender would mean identifying with the gender that you were assigned with at birth.
No one's assigned a gender at birth. They're born a gender at birth. That's the misconception stupid people like you have.
I'm wondering, did people even go to school at this point?
It makes me wonder if you've ever went to school. Because you're pretty fucking stupid.
I'm starting to wonder if people even went to school. No disrespect intended, but honestly.
Oh no, it was intended. You intended to disrespect this person.
An example.
Just like you always intend to disrespect Eric July and other content creators that make similar content, you intend to do that.
You say you're a man. I am a man. Okay? We are both men. We are also both cisgender.
We are not cisgender. We are men. That's it. Well, I don't know about you. You're pretty much a female. You're pretty full of soy.
However...
Can I call you a soy man? Because that's what you are. You're really a soy man.
You are straight or heterosexual, and I am gay, aka homosexual. All of those things are different things. Cisgender, homosexual, man.
Cisgender is not a thing. It's not a gender. You're either a male or a female, which is a man or a woman. You're adding descriptors that don't need to be added. Again, we add the word trans to show a transitioning person, to identify a transitioning person.
3 different things.
Cisgender and male are not different.
Different things. Cisgender, homosexual, man.
Cisgender and man is literally the same thing. You're just adding an extra descriptor that doesn't need to be added to describe someone.
3 different things.
Clearly you didn't go to school because you're very, very unintelligent. and it just shows with that terrible observation.
I want to point out the trans community didn't ask for all of this, right? That's the thing people have to realize. These advertising campaigns that
I guess they're all trans because they all are behind the trans flag, I guess.
have been done, it wasn't like they pulled in the trans community and they're like, hey, we just want to clear it with you guys. We're going to do a campaign with Dylan on TikTok.
Like, you guys are... Trans people nowadays seem to be the most protected class in this country.
TikTok a 40-second clip, and we're going to put a trans flag in Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. So trans people just know we need your clearance on this. And then they did it. These are things that were done in a way that...
They were done purposely to try to influence children who watch this movie. They do it purposely.
It was like supporting the trans community or...
They're not supporting anything because, again, trans kids don't exist.
Marketing with the trans community, and then all of these people that don't...
It's all a virtue signal, just like the BLM thing on Miles Morales' book bag. It's a virtue signal. It's an actual virtue signal.
Like, trans people decided, we're not going to take it out on just the companies or the creators of this. We're going to take it out on every trans person in the world. And none of those people asked for that.
Nobody's doing that. Not a single person. Not a single person is doing that. They're essentially boycotting a product that is being marketed towards a very minuscule percent of the population.
This is a long-ass comment from Matt, but I just want to address one part of it here. One of the things I'm seeing that's very common with a lot of these comments is people trying to dismiss actual counts of SA and CP. Like I said, I can provide for almost every day for this entire year articles where someone who is involved with a church, a school, or somebody who is close to a family member who is heterosexual, who has done things like SA when it comes to children. I can do that because...
Okay, and you act like there aren't channels out there or people out there that aren't calling this out. You're not one of them. You are not one of them. You're too busy complaining about content that you claim that you don't need to watch. That's what you're busy doing. You're busy complaining about content that you talk about not having to watch.
This is a long-ass comment from Matt, but I just want to address one part of it here. One of the things I'm seeing that's very common with a lot of these comments is people trying to dismiss where someone who is involved with a church, somebody who is close to a family member who is heterosexual, who has done things like SA when it comes to children. I can do that because it's actually happening. It's...
And yet you're not talking about it.
Really happening.
And the things that you claim that are not happening, people are showing that it is happening. But you're too much of an idiot and have your blinders on to want to see it because it breaks your narrative.
You know what's not happening? Is all of the stuff you are claiming that the gay community is doing. And
it is happening because that's why people are talking about it. It wouldn't be talked about if it wasn't happening.
You know how I know it's not happening? Because there is no articles or conviction.
There's plenty of articles and there's plenty of convictions out there. You're just a fucking piece of shit groomer who doesn't want to show these things because it breaks your fucking narrative.
Or arrest or anything. When I ask for receipts, you guys can never provide them. If gay and trans...
And yet you're not providing anything that you're claiming right now.
People were such a threat, you would see article after article after article of...
we're seeing them. You're just not seeing them. Sorry, your reading comprehension is so dang low.
Confirmed arrest, convictions, and trials for these people. But it is not happening. And you keep saying it. It's bigotry and propaganda.
It's literally happening where grown-ass men are going into locker rooms exposing themselves to young children. It is literally happening.
Why is there no straight pride? I hear this often, and the truth is the answer is quite simple. Where in our world is it illegal to be straight? The answer to that is nowhere.
Where is it illegal to be gay in the United States? Pretty much nowhere. Why do I care about what the rest of the world thinks? I don't give a fuck. I don't live around the world. I live in the United States. Why do I give a fuck what any country thinks about anything?
There's nowhere in the world where you could travel to and be persecuted for simply being straight. Now, how many countries is it illegal to be gay? Well, at least 64 countries have laws that make it illegal to be homosexual.
Okay. And again, how would they know that you're gay? How would any of those countries know that you're gay besides you putting it on display on your person? They're not going up to people and saying, "Are you gay? Are you gay? Are you gay? Oh, you're gay? Yeah, come with me." No one's doing that. No one is doing that.
And at least 11 of those you can be put to death. Trans people face being illegal in at least 37 countries in the world. Pride exists
Yes, because it's a mental illness that those countries don't want to deal with.
to show other parts of the world that expression and identity are important, valid, and appreciated. And if not, we have the freedom of speech and expression to speak out against these laws.
Yes, you have those things, but are you actually doing anything to solve those problems? Are you helping in any way to solve those problems? And if you're not, shut the fuck up.
Gay pride isn't just about being visible for straight people. It never has been.
But nobody actually cares if you're gay or not. You can be as gay as you want, flamboyant as you want. No one actually cares, except when you go after children. No one actually cares.
It's about sending a message to queer people all over the world.
And I'm sure people out there are going to say, well, there are these certain people, there are some people that don't believe. Okay, well, those people are going to exist. Yes, there are people that are going to say that gay people shouldn't exist. There are going to be people out there. But for the most part, no one actually cares how you live your life. As long as you're not doing anything illegal and you're not fucking with children. Simple.
That we will not be silenced. So next time you ask, why isn't there straight pride? The question you should actually be asking is, why does gay pride need to exist at all? In a perfect world,
nobody knows. Nobody actually knows why we have a whole month for pride. No one actually knows why. When it never used to be like that. June used to be Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. That's what it used to be until it was co-opted into Pride Month.
we wouldn't need to signal boost. So be a part of the change and not a part of the problem. Happy Pride Month.
The paradox of tolerance.
And the problem is people like you put it all out there like it's your whole identity.
If you're familiar with that, that's generally how I see gatekeeping as well. As in, like, the paradox of tolerance, it means you can't be tolerant of literally all ideas, because some ideas are inherent.
Again, this is coming from a guy who has literal links in the description on how to block supposed anti-fan channels, how to not see them in your feed. Just the tolerant left, everyone.
Inherently intolerant, and they will.
And the guy who locks his replies every time he makes a tweet because he knows he'll get destroyed every single time.
Lead to, a atmosphere of intolerance. And we're seeing a lot of that play out right now in, like, political, discourse, where, like, oh, we just got to hear these people out. And it's like, well, no, actually we don't, because all of their, what they're saying is advocating for is the genocide of fucking trans people.
None of those things are happening. Not a single person out there is actually doing that.
And, that's...
And if they are, present the proof, because most of the time, these types of people cannot.
It may be tolerant to hear them out, but, like, the ultimate end result is necessarily an intolerant and hateful one.
Say, for example, it's two people sitting in the room. I'm one of them, and the other person opposite of me says that they...
See, like, the dude is wearing a wristband that shows he's gay. That shows some type of pride thing. Rainbow wristband. You go and wear that in a place that it's banned. You understand.
Think all gay people should be killed. Mm-hmm. Am I supposed to tolerate that and be like, oh, well, I'm gay, but I guess
he's just got a different opinion?
Yeah, so
give me your thoughts on this.
I guess I'm okay with you, like, unaliving me because you believe that. So I'm just gonna shut up and be tolerant. That's a stupid argument. It's dumb as fuck.
You just need to agree to disagree with them.
Right, right, exactly.
Sorry about that.
Generally out of shape, fat weirdos who are
And we start out with thought-terminating cliches. That's where we are. Someone's physical appearance has absolutely nothing to do with their criticism about the content you make. Speaking of criticism, there's a reason why he uses that word haters, detractors, weirdos.
Because it's exactly what you people are. You people are all of those things.
Because he doesn't want to value any criticism towards him, so immediately if you have criticism about Airrick July, you're a hater.
Because your criticism is not really criticism.
Huge red flag. Run far away from that. Let's talk about Spider-Man. The ultimate Spider-Man. Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Yes, Miles Morales, who's Miles Morales. Peter Darker. Let's talk about someone who's not Spider-Man. Congratulations. The thing you were just complaining about with tokenism somewhere in the beginning of this video.
Because Miles Morales is Spider-Man.
Miles Morales is Miles Morales. Spider-Man is Peter Parker.
You don't have to like him, but you know, and you know this, you constantly use the wrong terms to describe what Miles Morales is. You already know this.
No, he uses the correct terms. He's a tokenized version of Peter Parker, who is Spider-Man.
Also, who determines when someone is a true fan? What if people started reading Spider-Man with Miles Morales? Does that make them any less of a comic book fan? What's the metric? I've been reading comics longer than you. Does that make me a bigger fan than you?
You've been reading comics longer, yet you're more of a moron than anybody who reads comics. Even me, a comic book normie, could tell you that Miles Morales is Miles Morales. That's why every time they have to advertise him as Spider-Man, they have to include his name. Because he is Miles Morales. And Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Similar to how they put Ben Reilly Spider-Man on the comics as well.
Things are always going to be woke at some point or another, according to their criteria. Because anytime progress is made,
the criteria of woke is pushing identity politics to the forefront and making it that 100-pound women can beat up 300-pound dudes. That's considered woke. Yes. Putting in real-world politics into a movie or a TV show is considered woke.
It's quote-unquote woke. And progress always happens.
It's in the word.
People like you believe that just because a black person or a woman is put in something, it's immediately considered woke.
Progressive.
Always. Like, if you go back to the 80s and look at movies in the 80s that were considered cutting edge back then, by today's definition, they would consider that to be woke.
Right.
No, they would not.
It's a dumb thing to...
This is the same dumbass argument where if the chick in Lord of the Rings kills that one dude in Lord of the Rings, they think that people would consider that woke if it came out today. No, they wouldn't, because it's in the lore of Lord of the Rings. Sorry if the names aren't popping into my head right now, but let's continue.
To argue about. No, it's just weird to be like every time I hear these people talking about this kind of stuff, I'm like, if you go back to the 90s, you can pick out 100 90s movies. Like, The Matrix would be considered woke back then by today's standard.
No, it would not. No, it would not.
Mrs.
You know what I mean?
Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Trans.
Tu Wong Fu.
Yep.
Definitely not. You know why? Because it's not putting identity politics and current modern politics at the forefront. It's a good movie with a great story.
Would be considered woke. There's so many
Tootsie.
things that would be considered woke. Probably the biggest frustration for me in all of this is this alt.
It's a frustration for you, but man, remember guys, he said you don't have to watch the content. Remember, he said that.
Community taking something positive like the word woke and turning it into something that we constantly have to fight about. It's such a dumb fucking battle, because being woke is actually extremely good for the world.
And
I mean, some people have been convinced
The urban definition says otherwise.
otherwise.
we've said this quite a few times before.
Oh, here's Mr. I'm gonna call Airrick July a racial slur and think my opinion matters about literally anything.
It's not like movies that are progressive are all good. They do get heavy-handed with their messaging sometimes.
Yes.
But when you say
He called Airrick July the opposite of Aunt Mom. That word that rhymes with mom, and the opposite of aunt.
it about everything, it just ruins it.
Exactly.
It's the
It's
exception, not the rule.
It's like crying wolf. Like, at a certain point, you've said it so much. When do I believe you?
Right.
When do I believe that you're being honest? Woke
Well, you believe it when you're not retarded.
It's the same as progress. We're not even going to entertain that. There's a comment that says that it's not the same as progress. It absolutely is.
Oh yeah,
It absolutely isn't.
sure is.
Being a woke moralist, that's all.
He's doing the deep in the sauce perspective, huh? You're so deep into that rabbit hole. You're now like.
These people are so dumb. Like, this guy has the shittier version of organized chaos. Well, you can't really get any shittier than Bob, who doesn't take care of his kids. You know, Tyrone does that. And then this guy says, like Turf Nation, but better in every way. Yeah, you guys are weird.
Like, actually, the left are the fascists and the racists.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they created the Triple K, and they were the ones that were for slavery. Yeah.
So if woke
That's how stupid this guy is. That's how stupid Dane from Actual Fandom is.
is not progressive, then it's conservative? I'm trying to figure out the
No. Incorrect. Again, brainless.
angle with that. Which one is it? Is it centrist? Which one
Whoa,
is it?
you're taking that logic too far. You can't do that, DJ. That's...
Please explain to me. I'm very curious.
It's Tory.
It would be very hard to explain it to you because you're retarded.
It's not even.
Woke is such a conservative thing that
It's not.
they're anti themselves at this point.
It's
Like
good.
It's not.
No, yeah, no, you figured it out.
dumb
Woke is
fuck.
conservative.
I'm so tired of
Now
these.
we know.
They're trying very hard to be sarcastic and sound smart, but they really sound stupid at the end of the day.
Fucking idiots. I'm sorry. I can't bite my tongue anymore. I'm tired of fucking idiots. I'm tired of them.
Well, then you should be tired of yourself because you're the biggest idiot out of the 5 people here.
Stop listening to these channels that are making you more stupid. Turn
They're making you way smarter than you would ever make anybody. Again, you are the person that thinks trans kids exist.
them off. Do Google. For God's sake, download ChatGPT.
The guy that says Google, when in the beginning of this video specifically talks about that DC Pride thing selling out. Meanwhile, he didn't show you anything in this article that proves otherwise to what he just said. To what he said.
It's going to give you better answers than all of these fucking awful channels that make money off of keeping you stupid. These people following these fucking channels, it's making our world so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's like
Anyone who follows you are fucking stupid. Because you literally surround yourself with 4 other idiots. You are an idiot yourself, and you surround yourself with 4 other idiots.
it takes the fun out of the fandom because you guys don't watch things to enjoy them. You watch them to destroy them.
You watch them to make fun of them. That's what a lot of people... It's called criticism. It's called critiquing an art. Learn how to do that.
Yup.
It's two completely different things. You go into these movies and TV shows with the sole purpose of finding things you don't like.
That's called critiquing the art.
Instead of just going into it and enjoying what it is. There's a lot of
You can't enjoy something when it sucks. And you can have an opinion if something is good or it sucks.
things.
That is possible. That's called having your own free-thinking mind. To you, everyone should just go and watch a shitty Star Wars film. Turn off your brain and watch a shitty Star Wars film. And then think it's not shitty.
As someone who has
Newsflash, The Last Jedi was the worst fucking Star Wars movie of all time.
watched a lot of gay content over the years, there's a lot of things that I have
Good for you. No one cares. You're free to do that.
watched in the gay spectrum where I've been like, that's too much. It doesn't work.
Right.
But I can't even have that nuanced
You could have that opinion. No one cares.
conversation because the folks that don't like it just don't like it across the board.
Yeah.
So I can't even sit down with somebody and go, hey, let's talk about this gay film that you seem to have some issues with and find out where we connect at, because we can't even engage in that kind of dialogue. We can't
You're one of the worst people to engage in that dialogue with, especially Dane, the guy who locks Twitter replies.
even have that conversation.
Morality?
Woke in the most simple
the
terms
fuck?
is seeing inequality, being aware of it, and actively trying to make a difference.
Wrong.
So
Yeah,
that's all.
the
It's
system.
literally all.
Wrong. Just for this, I'm going to look up this for you. Right? We'll go to... This is the definition you're looking at, right? This is the definition you're looking at. The definition people are mostly referring to would be this one. Right? This is what it originally meant. It's referring to woke culture. Right? When they talk about woke, they talk about the fact of tokenization. The fact that you gender swap and race swap original characters that don't need to have these things done to them. And then they push that as the only thing that they're about. That they're black, that they're gay, that they're this or that. That's what people are talking about. The fact that this is pushed to the forefront, the sexual and gender identities of someone is pushed to the forefront, the race is pushed to the forefront, as the only thing that makes the character the character. It's their whole identity, it's their whole personality. That's what they're talking about.
All it is. I'm sorry, kind of went off on a tangent there.
Hey everyone, Charles Chucky here again, CEO of Burgerverse Anti-Woke Meat, and I have to
Again, this right here is supposed to be a parody of the Ripperverse. Again, it was never advertised as a anti-woke comic. It was advertised as a comic that was returned to form and normality, the way comics are supposed to be. Fun and entertaining. But again, these are the people that Airrick has to deal with on a regular basis. The type of detractors that he's always talking about when it comes to the Ripperverse. And these are the people I will continue to the end of time to absolutely make fun of. Because these people are so dumb. Thank you all for checking out this video. I really do appreciate all the new subscribers, returning subscribers, new viewers, returning viewers. If you do like this video, hit that like button, comment below what you feel about all this. Do not interact with anybody shown in this video. Comment below what you feel about all this. Like I said, subscribe for more content like this. Click the bell for notifications. Set the bell to all that way you get notifications anytime I post a new video. And we'll see you all on the next one. Peace.